Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you all are having a good Wednesday evening. We had a heck of a thunderstorm today. Can you hear me all right? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Yeah, we had a real downpour today. And it cut off everything. But it did let up so we could have our read tonight. I was so happy. All right, we're going to get started. Let me get comfy. And we are reading chapter 27. Yes, we're supposed to have more rain, but I hope it holds off long enough to get through chapter 27 so we can move on. After leaving the hospital, Libby walked to the yarn store. Her step was lighter than it had been in a good long while. She'd be meeting Philip later at Lake Washington, and it was all she could do to keep her feet from dancing down the sidewalk. She was only a block away from a good yarn when her cell chirped. Caller ID told her it was the firm, probably Sarah. Because she hadn't yet heard from the paralegal, Libby had made other arrangements after meeting with Mrs. Reed. Feeling positive and inspired, she leased a space in a nearby office complex and had the advantage of a receptionist. Her services, plus that of other equipment, were included in the rental fee. Once Libby was on her feet, she would hire a paralegal, and it wouldn't be Sarah. Despite all the years they had worked together, Sarah hadn't found the courage to be honest with her. She had let her silence do the talking for her. Only it wasn't Sarah on the phone. Instead, it was the managing partner, Herschel Burkhart. "Libby," he said, sounding friendly and upbeat. "How are you, my dear?" Herschel was the last person she expected to hear from. Fabulous. Truth was, she rarely felt better. While she wasn't overwhelmed with clients, they would come. She would keep her own hours and continue with her volunteering and knitting until then. "I was wondering, would it be possible for us to meet for a drink?" Hang on, everyone. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Gotta take care of some things. "I was wondering, would it be possible for us to meet for a drink this afternoon?" Libby stopped walking and stood in the middle of the sidewalk, like a large rock in the center of the river. People rushed past her, giving her space as she pressed her cell phone against her ear. Traffic noises came at her from all sides. Only one came to mind. They wanted her back. He had managed to talk reason into the other partners. "Oh, sure," she sighed. A 12-month lease, and now Herschel was going to ask her to come back to the firm. "Libby?" "Yes, of course. What time?" "Does 4 work for you?" he asked, and mentioned a downtown hotel. "I'll be there at 4, she managed to respond. Libby ended the call and dumped her cell back into her purse. She resisted the urge to contact Robin, but she texted Philip, explaining that she'd need to take a rain check on their sailing date. Her mind continued to whirl. If Herschel wanted her, then she wouldn't come cheap. At 4, Libby sat at the bar at the Four Seasons. She straightened when Herschel walked into the dimly lit area. He hadn't changed much in the intervening months, she noticed. He grinned when he saw her and wove his way around the tables and chairs in order to join her in the far corner of the room. Libby had chosen the table that she felt would offer the most privacy. She stood as he approached and offered him her check, which he kissed lightly. Then, setting his briefcase on the floor, he pulled out a chair and joined her. Libby crossed her legs and relaxed, content to let him do the talking. The waitress came for their drink order, and they both asked for a glass of Merlot. They exchanged pleasantries until their wine arrived. Herschel touched the rim of his goblet to hers. "I see you took my advice." "Oh? You're volunteering at the hospital." "I heard. And dating a doctor." So he knew about Philip. "Do you enjoy sailing?" My goodness, he had been keeping close tabs on her, no doubt through Sarah. Libby was determined not to reveal her surprise. "I do. Wonderful." He sampled his wine and nodded in approval. Libby had yet to taste her own as she struggled not to give away her surprise. "You told me to get a life." "Not everyone takes my words to heart," he said with a smile. "I understand you decided to open your own office," he continued, setting his wine glass down on the small circular table. "I have." The ink had yet to dry on the office lease, but he didn't need to know that. "Congratulations." "Thank you." Herschel leaned forward slightly. "I also understand that you recently met with Martha Reed." Libby smiled, rather amused, although she was sure his source had been her former paralegal. "Herschel, have you had a private investigator following me?" she asked. He grinned and shook his head. "I have my sources." "Apparently you do." His smile faded. "I called because a couple of other partners are concerned about your visit with Martha Reed." "Oh?" "They feel you're poaching our clients." "Poaching," Libby repeated, stunned that he would suggest she would even do such a thing. "The truth is, given your position, I would have done the same thing. Unfortunately, the others don't see it that way. They feel that Mrs. Reed is our client." "Was your client," she reminded him. "She left the firm." "I'm pleased with the changes you've made since leaving the firm," he continued, ignoring her comment. "You're doing exactly what I hoped you would, and I applaud that. I couldn't be more pleased. But Libby," he paused and regarded her steadily, his gaze wide and sincere, "I don't want you to make a misstep now." Misstep? He had just admitted that given the opportunity, he would have done the same thing. Martha Reed is a longtime friend. I knew, given time, she would eventually have changed of heart. The partners and I spoke with her recently, just after your visit, as a matter of fact, and she's decided to come back to the firm. Oh, Libby couldn't hide her disappointment. And who will she be working with? Hope sprang eternal. Perhaps the firm wanted her back after all. We're assigning Linda Freeman to the account. The partners feel Mrs. Reed does better when she can communicate her needs to a woman. Not Libby, Linda. Again, she swallowed the taste of disappointment. But Herschel held up a hand, stopping her. I know she left the firm, and you had every right, but irritated the others. He left the word hanging, leaving her to speculate. Libby had a good idea what he was telling her. Basically, her chances of being asked to return to the firm had been dashed because she had taken the initiative and contacted the elderly woman on her own. A sickening feeling tightened in her stomach. Herschel's eyes held hers. I tried, he admitted. Libby nodded, letting him know she understood. Managing a weak smile, she whispered, Congratulations. I think Linda will do a great job. Herschel smiled back encouragingly. Starting your own practice is a big challenge, Libby. I don't doubt that you'll make it a success. Thank you. You're a good attorney. Libby looped the purse strap over her shoulder. My best to the other partners, Libby murmured. By the time Libby was outside of the Four Seasons, she felt like kicking something. It was apparent that Sarah, the paralegal she had once considered a good friend, had been more than willing to relay information to one or more of the partners. No wonder Libby hadn't heard from her. When she checked her messages later that afternoon, Libby saw that she had missed a call from Martha Reed. She phoned back right away. I'm so sorry to disappoint you, my dear, the dignified woman apologized. I talked over the decision with my children. They all know how much I've enjoyed working with you. However, they're concerned, as I am, that you don't have the backing of a larger firm. I understand, Libby said, although it was difficult to hide her feelings. And then several of the partners and Herschel came to the house and made their plea. What made you decide to go back to the firm? Libby asked, curiosity getting the best of her. She couldn't imagine what the partners could have promised. Mrs. Reed had been adamant that she was ready to move on. The firm had already failed her twice. Oh, yes, and really, they made it impossible to refuse. They agreed to cap my fees. Libby had guessed that was the incentive, must have been. Something along those lines. Considering the money Mrs. Reed brought into the firm, the partners must have been desperate not to lose her. Losing clients was never good, especially influential ones like Mrs. Reed. I do wish you the very best, my dear, the charming lady told Libby. I know you do, and if you ever feel that you want my legal advice, please feel free to contact me. Libby enjoyed Mrs. Reed and would do anything she could to help her. Right away she called Philip, but his cell went straight to voicemail. Thankfully, Robin was available. She met her at Starbucks, closest to the courthouse. They had ordered a skinny vanilla latte and sat in the corner with their heads together. Robin listened intently as Libby relayed the events of her afternoon. "You've got to be kidding." Her friend was outraged on Libby's behalf when she told of the meeting with Herschel and what she had learned about Sarah. "I hardly know what to say." "I thought of her as a friend." Libby remained stunned. "Sarah's the only one who I intended to speak to Mrs. Reed. It had to have been her." All Robin could do was shake her head. Libby was tired of all this. It had been a busy week. It seemed like more had happened in 1 week than in the 5 months combined. "How are you?" Libby asked her friend, her true friend. She'd known it had been difficult for Robin to return to work, especially when it meant seeing Roy Bollinger every day. Only later did Robin tell her about Roy's visit to the condo that day, and she phoned into work sick. "I'm okay," Robin said without meeting Libby's eyes. Libby cocked her brow, unsure she should believe her. Robin lowered her voice. "I saw Roy at the office." "Did you speak?" Robin shook her head. Her eyes softened as she spoke. "But I wish we had." Oh, how sad. "Oh, Robin, it's better this way. I just never believed he'd be interested in me, and now that he is." She left the rest unsaid. "Just remember what you told me all through this long period of unemployment." "What?" "That eventually everything will right itself." "I said that?" Libby grinned. "Any number of times." Robin smiled too. "I didn't know I could sound so wise." But she was wise, wonderfully so, and Libby treasured her. And that takes us to chapter 28. Oh, let's start on the first page of chapter 28. Libby sat in her small office and arranged her desktop. Everything was neat and orderly, just the way she liked it. She had already gotten 2 business calls. One she had rejected outright. It was from a friend of a friend who was looking for an attorney to get him out of some speeding tickets. His 3rd that year. Libby happily referred him to another attorney. The second call showed promise. The referral had come from Abby Higginbotham at Seattle General. Libby made an appointment to visit the couple the following afternoon to talk about estate planning and setting up a trust fund for their 2 grandchildren. They had already talked to a number of financial advisors, but were looking to get advice from someone who didn't have anything financial to gain from their investments. Libby phoned the hospital to thank Abby. "Hey, no problem. They're friends of my husband's family. Really wonderful people." They chatted for a few minutes and exchanged a bit of hospital gossip. Libby ended the call when she was buzzed by her shared receptionist. "Yes," Libby said. "There's someone here to see you. She said she didn't have an appointment." Sure." A client was a client. Libby left her desk and opened her office door to find Casey Goetz sitting in the waiting area. The teen flipped through a magazine until she noticed Libby. "Casey?" "Oh, hi." Casey set aside the magazine, stood, and with a "I told you so" smile at the receptionist, followed Libby into the office. "Mom said you'd gotten your own office. Cool." She looked around the room and nodded as though she approved. Libby had been talking to Ava every couple of days on the phone just to make sure everything was okay. Ava's doctor appointment was scheduled for early the following week, the earliest date the social worker had been able to get. Casey, this is a nice surprise. I understand you're here on official business. What can I do for you? Casey looked surprised, as though it should be apparent. I've come to hire you. Well, this certainly was interesting. Libby sat down, and Casey took a chair too. Are you having legal troubles? Libby asked, half joking. No, I'm actually here on Ava's behalf. Oh, of course. Libby was grateful that Ava had a friend like Casey. She knew they chatted nearly every day after Darlene Carmichael left for work. How can I help you? And Ava? Libby inquired. Casey sat up straight. We talked, Ava, and decided that she wants to give the baby up for adoption. She reached for her purse and took out her wallet. Ava thought it might cost money. I have my allowance saved up, so I told her I would pay you, if necessary. She held on to her purse with both hands. Has Ava's grandmother accepted the truth that Ava's pregnant? Libby asked. Not yet. Well, Mrs. Carmichael would be facing facts soon enough. Can you help Ava with the adoption? What can I do, Libby said, is refer her to an agency. She thought the social worker might have brought up the subject, but now she realized that the woman wouldn't be able to do that until Ava's condition had been confirmed. How much will that cost? Casey had her hand on her wallet, ready to take out the cash and pay Libby's retainer. Actually, the service is free. Free? Referrals are free, Libby emphasized. She was touched by Casey's resourcefulness. Oh, the teenager's shoulders relaxed, as though she was relieved. I can make a list of phone numbers for Ava, or even make the calls myself on her behalf. Casey nodded. I think that would be best if you made the calls. Ava feels it's best for someone else. She hesitated and then added, to take the baby. Oh my goodness. It sounds like chapter 28 is going to be awesome. What is going to happen here? Oh, you know what? It's not that long. Should I keep reading? Would you like me to keep reading, everyone? Because really, it's almost done already. Wow. I might as well just keep right on reading right through chapter 28. Libby was relieved by Ava's decision. She realized it must have been a difficult choice for the young teenager. As Libby and Ava talked regularly, she was surprised Ava had asked Casey to approach her about this, especially in light of the fact that they had even discussed Ava's options concerning the baby. How's Ava doing? Libby asked. She talked to her the day before, but Casey might have an entirely different perspective. Okay, I guess. Although she doesn't leave the house now. She says you've brought her books and yarn and stuff. And I think that's great. Ava needs you. It was funny that Casey should say that, because Libby was thinking how much pleasure she got in helping the teenager. Ava reminded Libby of herself at that age, uncertain, lonely, and lost. They talked quite a bit about what it meant to be without a mother. Libby helped to encourage Ava. Ava trusts you. She's hoping. Casey looked away and didn't finish the sentence. What is she hoping? Libby asked. Casey squared her shoulders. When Ava said she wanted to give her baby up for adoption, she also said she felt odd giving her baby to strangers. I agree that is a difficult decision, but certainly it was the right one. The teen was little more than a child herself. Taking on the responsibility of raising a baby was beyond Ava's emotional and mental capabilities. Libby believed it was hard for her. I know. Libby would phone Ava again in the morning, and together the two of them could go over the list of adoption agencies. I'll talk to Ava about this myself, Libby promised. She doesn't need to worry about her baby. She'll have the opportunity to read over the profiles of the families looking to adopt. The social worker will help her, and she can actually choose the family. She can choose herself? Casey's eyes brightened. That's great because she already has someone in mind. Ava hadn't mentioned this to Libby. Really? Casey beamed at her. Can you call her? You mean right now? The girl nodded. Is she expecting my call? Libby didn't want to risk the possibility of Ava's grandmother picking up the phone. She was hoping you would call. She asked me to talk to you first about the adoption because she was a little afraid of what you would say. That was odd because Libby had tried to steer her in that direction as much as possible. The choice had to be Ava's, but Libby felt it was important for the girl to understand everything that would be involved if she decided to raise the baby on her own. Casey stared pointedly at the phone. Libby reached for it and punched in Ava's number. She must have been sitting right next to the phone because she picked up on the first ring. Hello, came her tentative greeting. Ava, it's Libby. Is Casey with you? She is. Did she talk to you about the adoption? She did. What do you think? She sounded so tense, so uncertain, which was understandable, Libby supposed. I think that's a wise decision for you and your baby. Oh, thank you, Ava breathed, and it sounded as if she was about to burst into tears. I was afraid, that being single you wouldn't want my baby. Want your baby? Me? You're talking about me adopting the baby? Oh my. Yes, Ava breathed. Ava, there are any number of families who are eager for an infant. Remember how we talked about this? Some couples have waited years for the opportunity to adopt a child. You did tell me that, but I don't want just anyone to have my baby. This wasn't making any sense. They're strangers, Ava insisted. I want my baby to go to a good home, to someone I know who will love her. I think of the baby as a her because I want a girl more than I want a boy. Anyone who adopts your baby will love her, Libby promised. Would you? Ava asked. The question gave Libby pause, and she realized in a sudden rush of emotion that she already did. Yes, she whispered, and she sincerely meant it. She would love Ava's baby. Then I want you to adopt my baby. The words should have rocked Libby's world, turned it upside down. But after the initial shock of it, Libby realized they hadn't. She remembered holding the Wilson baby and thinking could have been hers. The rush of regret that had overcome her in those few moments had multiplied a dozen times when she realized that baby Wilson was her ex-husband's son. You want me to adopt your child? Libby asked to be sure she understood Ava's wishes. Yes, you. I know you'll love her. I know you'll be a good mother because you've been such a good friend to me. You have been like a mother to me. I trust you more than I do anyone in the world, even more than my grandmother. Please say you'll adopt my baby, Libby. Please. And that takes us to chapter 29. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. The ending of this book is going to be awesome, y'all. I can't wait till next Wednesday when we can delve into the next chapter. Yes, I think she would make a perfect mom. I agree, Paula. And I do want to thank you all for coming in for chapters 27 and 28. And I know you'll be back next Wednesday for chapter 29 and possibly chapter 30. So until then, y'all, look forward to our book club meeting that got drowned out by the rainstorm. And that will either be Thursday or Friday, so look for the live to be up. On that, you'll see the thumbnail announcing our book club live. And until then, guys, I'll see you then. Have a wonderful night, sleep tight, and sweet dreams.